A few years ago, we were in a mall to get one-year-old portraits done for my youngest child. Again, we were in a mall. We weren't camping or crawling through wood piles in some scary shed. I find that when I tell this story, the mall aspect turns out to be the strangest part. My middle child, at 3 years old, was busying himself climbing around, under, and through anything he could find to pass the time. This didn't bother me because the photographer was driving me nuts with never-ending set changes. Somewhere between the festive fall backdrop and the obligatory bediapered fake cake shot, my 3-year-old tapped me. "Mommy, my shirt is itchy." I took a cursory look, assuming I'd find a rogue tag, but I saw nothing. "You're fine. We're almost done." Several moments later in the parking lot, he tried again. "Mommy, my shirt is really itching me." I lifted his shirt again and looked toward his armpit where he pointed. There was nothing there. "Well, buddy, we can take it off, but I think it might just be the seam." He decided he was okay and allowed me to buckle him in beside his brother. We were on the highway, halfway to pick up their older sister from preschool, when the screaming began. "Ow, Mommy, ow, ow, Mommy!" He was screaming like I have never heard and like I hope I never have to hear again. Something was hurting my child. I tried to yell over his screams. "What is it? Is it a bee?" If it was a bee, I hoped at least it would die after it stung him. But his pain seemed to refresh every moment as he smacked at his chest and flailed wildly in his seat. I was stuck behind the wheel of a car on a highway. There was no shoulder. I slammed on the accelerator, listening to him bear that pain, and flew off the exit. I rushed to his door, opened it, flung off his seatbelt, and tore off his shirt. There, clinging to the armpit of his shirt, was the biggest spider I had ever seen. It looked like one of those fake spiders made by sadist toy makers who clearly were not loved enough as children by their mothers, and therefore had the life ambition to terrify all moms. It was shiny, jet black, and stiff as plastic. It was so big, it was hard to believe what I was seeing. I screamed and dropped the shirt as quickly as I had ripped it off. And while it fell, my eyes focused on a blood-red hourglass. My 3-year-old had just been bitten, likely several times, by a large black widow. He tried to tell me it was there. This was my fault. My fear quickly turned into the hot, icy rage only a mother can understand when her baby's been hurt. I vengefully stomped on the spider and headed to the ER. We were almost there when his stomach started cramping. The neurotoxin the spider had dumped into my son had spread, and it had begun to affect his nervous system. After checking him in and leaving him doubled over in pain in the arms of my husband, I left to take my other 2 kids to a friend's home. By the time I got back, my 3-year-old baby boy was strapped to a bed, stripped down to his pull-up, and on a morphine-glucose combination so strong he had actually begun hallucinating. He was talking about riding pink hippos. My husband and I were tracing a fine line between being sick with terror and admittedly a little amused. He was really cute stoned. We were admitted overnight, and as I looked at my hospital bedridden boy with tubes running in and out of him, his body shaking fitfully with pain, I turned to my favorite coping mechanism. I wrote. I got a hospital napkin, a hospital pen, and for some strange reason, what came out was a poem, an ode to that spider. You know, woman to woman. Ode to the Black Widow. You gave him warning, and he to me. But in a mother's defense, kids are always complaining about their clothes, itching. True to your reputation, you didn't bite until tight straps restricted and confined you. Truly trapped when you unleashed your wrath. You clung to the shirt when I peeled it away instead of his body, which made it easier to scream, then calm, while knowing exactly where you lay. All in all, I am quite appreciative for certain choices you made. But it still feels good to look again while my son sleeps fitfully with an IV at your motherfucking squashed body on his favorite shirt, you piece of shit. I will find your kin and kill them all. It actually took me years to tell that story without sobbing. I kept reliving that very first moment he told me his shirt itched in my mental recreations. I pulled his shirt off every single time, and he never gets bitten. In fact, for the next 2 or so years, my kids would so much as say, "Mom, my tag is," and whew. I had them stripped naked, inspecting every centimeter of both them and their clothes, whether at the park, grocery store, church. She must really hate tags, I'd imagine people saying about me. About a week after the bite, after story time and prayers, I apologized to my son. Through choked words and trying to keep calm, I told him I was so sorry that I didn't listen to him, and that I hoped he would forgive me. "Don't be silly, Mom," he said. "You were like a superhero killing that giant spider." By the way, he paused and started thoughtfully examining his fingers and his wrists. "Speaking of superheroes, how long until I get my spider powers?"